Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk Sunday, Stream of Consciousness. How's everybody doing today? Quite an hour we just had on the big football show. They're still making picks. I had to leave in the middle of the Pittsburgh-Cleveland pick because I don't know. Jack spent 10 minutes talking about the Browns. So, but we welcome everybody watching today on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you might catch the show. We thank all the groups that allow us to share it, not the least among which are always scrolling at the bottom of the screen. John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings from America's Pastime, the Love for Baseball, Flo and Can over at Bottom Line Sports. Hope it's okay that I only say the two of you guys now, because I think it is just the two of you guys. Let's Talk Sports, where Flo and the gang do the majority of their podcasting. Great shows over there at Let's Talk Sports, just like we have here on National Streaming Sports. Ken Krause at Golf Bud Sports of All Sorts. Welcome everybody in. Ralph Williams, quick shout out to him at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff out of Ocean City, Maryland, Pittsburgh focused, national footprint, specifically the Sports Corner he does with Smokey Jim Frazier from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday. We were going to be a guest there last week, and Ralph had a couple things come up. So, and catch Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. as we'll review all the weekend sports. Lots to talk about, guys. We're getting into a lot of it today. Baseball. We got MLB League Championship Series matchups. Dodgers will play the Brewers. The Blue Jays will play the Mariners. I think they're going to be two good series. Listen, the Mariners and Detroit play a game for the ages Friday night. If you don't like 2-2 tie games into the 15th inning, you don't like baseball. So stop watching it, please. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Cubs. Listen, the Cubs Brewers game yesterday was a bit anticlimactic, if you will. I don't know. I thought the Cubs would win, actually. We'll talk about the Yankees loss. A lot of moves to make there. Not the least of which is Corey Bellinger got to get re-signed, but lots of things we can talk about there. Manager openings. It looks like Louis Pujols may be offered the Angels job. We've already got one hiring and Skip Schumacher. In baseball, one quick note, our condolences go out to Mike Greenwell, his family and friends. Mike passed away. Very good, by the way. Very, very good. Underrated, I think, Major League Baseball outfielder with the Red Sox for many, many years. Good stick. Not a great fielder, good stick. Not a great player, but a very good player. He died this past week of cancer, which was only diagnosed with a couple of months ago. So, cancer sucks. Okay. And our thoughts and prayers are with his friends and family. In college football, the madness continues, by the way. 8, I believe, top 25 teams lost yesterday. Penn State loses to Northwestern. That Northeastern been much worse. Northwestern. Franklin gets booed off the field. Indiana goes to Oregon, wins their first game against a top 5 opponent in their history on the road. Their first at all ever since 1967. They're for real, folks, and I'm not sure about Oregon. USC beats Michigan. Bama beats Missouri. We'll get into all of this stuff. Who are the other big upsets yesterday? Texas. We think they're dead. They beat Oklahoma. John Mateer was terrible. Alan, I'm sorry. What else? Some great games yesterday. Colorado beats Iowa State. Iowa State, I think, was an overrated 4-0, by the way. Your Naval Academy and your Army did win yesterday as well. Air Force actually lost to UNLV. Group of 5 is wide open. Big 12 is wide open. SEC is wide open. Everything's wide open. And North Carolina did not lose. Florida State lost their 3rd straight. Lots to talk about there. Bill Belichick under fire. I tend to believe, I know on game day yesterday, they tried hard to make it seem like, oh, he's committed. The school's committed to him. No, they're not. The very fact that they both had to make announcements to say that says there's issues. And the school is looking for ways to get out of this contract without paying him the full $25 million he'd have left, I think, right now on the buyout. The buyout's going to be the James Franklin issue, too. And I have a theory that James Franklin will be coaching next year, but not at Penn State. He'll very quietly be looking at some of these other openings that are there now and will be coming, maybe Arkansas. And they'll come to some agreement that they don't have to pay him a full $63 million to go away. NFL, Patriots, huge win last Sunday against the Bills. Giants, a big win this past week, past Thursday against the Eagles. Lots of great stuff. We'll look at the standings. We'll look at all the games today. We'll look at the ridiculous fine. In my mind, the fine that Coach Gannon got in Arizona for going up, berating his player who doesn't know where the goal line is, dropping the ball, costing his team the game. I don't care if he put his hands on him. Rick Sherlock, if you're here, you tell me how many times Coach Roberti put his hands on you. Did anybody ever get hurt? Freaking soft. This whole country's soft. And what else? LeBron will be out for a month. We got a lot to talk about. There's a lot of stuff in here. I'm angry. I'm not angry. We're going to have some fun this morning, but this is your show. Your show. Let's get it going. AC, good morning, my friend. Good to have you with us. Rick Sherlock, good morning. Stefan Diggs played great last week, right? And Rick, you're absolutely right, by the way. I just want to make sure, because I didn't even know it was you that made the comment until I looked back at the comments. When I saw it up, I didn't see that it was you talking about Stefan being a cancer when he doesn't play well. I don't think he's any more of a cancer. And I think cancer's too harsh. I do think, he becomes a distraction for sure. But every wide receiver, hello, A.J. Brown, I'm sure Justin Jefferson probably becomes a distraction when he doesn't get the ball thrown to him. Receivers are divas, man, and that's all there is to it. And when they're getting the ball, they're happy. When they don't, they become a distraction. I just felt cancer was too harsh. But again, he played on your team, and you have your own feelings about him for sure. Paul Spada. I don't want to hear any more about Oregon being number one, by the way. If you can't listen, and Indiana's a really good football team, but you've gone to Penn State and beat a team that now I think stinks. And so your signature win is not a really good signature win. You've now lost to the best team you played. You're not going to fall far. You won't fall out of the top 10 because Indiana was ranked 7th. But please, no more talk about Oregon being number one. They could play well. I still picked them to win the Big Ten. They still got a chance. That's one loss in conference. Indiana's a real deal, folks. And there were some. Good morning, Danny. Good to have you with us out in California early. Good morning to Michael Dighton Edwards. Good to have you with us as always. Good morning, Milwaukee, Paul. You're welcome. Oh, and Danny. I think Danny's a captain. College football's unbelievably nuts. It's impossible to accurately predict what will happen, which is why it's awesome. It is until you're betting on the freaking games, man. Jesus, I'm on such a cold streak. Half-point loser in the Alabama game, like 2-point loser in the over on the never mind. USC just barely missed the over. Somebody else. Who else did I bet over yesterday? Unbelievable. It is nuts, though. Again, 8 top 25 teams. The Quacks can't say they're underrated anymore. I agree. And the Indiana had to fight the refs a little yesterday too. And you know how I feel about referees. You don't say you get beat by referees, and they didn't get beat. They ended up winning the game. Auburn, on the other hand, gets because momentum is a real thing. The referees, and again, that's not why they lost. But just because I say you don't lose because of referees, you don't put yourself in that position, doesn't mean there isn't bad refereeing. Doesn't mean that referees don't change momentum in games. Again, there's other reasons you lose besides those things. Most of the time. Auburn got hosed so bad at the end of that first half. First of all, it was an aberration. Not an aberration. It was an abortion of what I had to watch. 25 or 35 minutes, I think, to play the last 2 minutes of that first half. That was awful in itself. The fact that they blow the call at the goal line, it was obviously a touchdown. And that hurts Auburn. That was a big turnaround. And by the way, but with that said, Hugh Freeze has got to be more in control of his emotions because his team came out and played horribly in the second half. They didn't score, did they? Did they score? I don't know if they did. He's almost crying at halftime, going into the locker room at halftime, doing that interview. You've got to be more in control of your emotions than that. You know, geez. Hello, CA. Blessed Sunday to you. Anthony's with us this morning. Does the injury to listen, his play? The answer is yes, I think, Anthony. Or quite frankly, I think it does. Maybe he gets in the third or fourth round, maybe. But his play already had dropped him out of the first round, I guarantee you. He was playing horrible. We'll talk about Arch Manning. Arch Manning played a very efficient football game yesterday. Is he a Heisman Trophy candidate? No, I never said he was. Arch Manning will be fine. But everybody gets on Arch Manning, and some of the veteran quarterbacks throughout the league, Alar, Klubnik, Sellers at South Carolina, not as veteran as the other two, but a veteran quarterback. Castellanos, these guys all get a freaking pass. They're playing horrible football, all of them. So yeah, I think he does, but not just because of the injury, Anthony. And good morning to you. Jordan wants to be able to keep her keys to the Holy Jim at Chapel Hill for Billy B to keep his cafeteria pass so that he can still enjoy that yummy fruit cup. I don't think he's eating a lot of fruit cups, by the way. In the Maid Quads Cafe. Busted the rights for self-designed T-shirts. You know, this woman has wrecked one of the greatest football minds of all time. Just saying. Don't go soft on us, Keith. He's a cancer. Again, I'm not going soft. I just think cancer is too hard a word. There are guys who are cancers in a locker room. And again, none of us are there, so we don't really know. I don't feel like I'm going soft, Danny, because I just said that wide receivers become a distraction. You have to get rid of them. They're the guys mostly cause problems. Not all of them. Not only wide receivers, right? Stephon Diggs is a great player. And listen, I'm not going to die on this hill. If we want to call him a cancer, you can call him a cancer. I don't want to be wishy-washy, but I guess where I'm going is not that far from cancer. I just feel like that word's a little harsh. I don't know. Do I like the way he acts when he doesn't get the ball? By the way, he wasn't getting the ball or the targets the first 3 games for the Patriots. And he wasn't a cancer there for 3 games. And they didn't get involved. They didn't get him more involved in the offense because he was screaming and yelling about it. He got more involved in the offense because they want to win games. So, again, I haven't seen the cancer part. Brick, Monkey on the other show, Bills fans, you've seen it, I guess. Have at it. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to die on that hill. Oh, AC, I could not find my way to the link. Plus, I got my flu and my pneumonia shot this week, and I feel like it knocked me out Friday. I was in bed early. So anyway, AC, let us know how you made out. I was not able to tune in, and I hope you did well. Coach regularly had a hold of my face. There you go. Like I said. We didn't get too much spittle, did we? So am I wrong? Is the team ridiculous for finding Gannon for getting in? I don't remember the running back's name off the top of my head. I mean, again, it's a bonehead play. You get in his face, you put your hands on him, whatever. He won't do it again. Didn't punch him. Didn't hit him over the head with a freaking water cooler. My God. I mean, how soft do we have to get? It's the NFL. It's not pee-wee football. Who's starting in fantasy? Gunslinger Gillen Gabriel this morning. Probably a lot more than me that lost both their quarterbacks this week, Burrow and McCarthy. So you're starting Gillen Gabriel this week? Good luck. Well, the Pittsburgh defense hasn't been great, so maybe he'll come through. He didn't listen. I don't know. I think Dylan Gabriel was an up and down player last week. I'm not a big fan, as you know. Him and Michael Penix are the two guys I do not think are going to become elite quarterbacks. Shador is the number 2 quarterback. The fact that the very fact that they had to wait till Friday to decide whether it was going to be Bailey Zappi or Shador, it tells you all you need to know about what they think about Shador in Cleveland. Because Bailey Zappi can't play. Drew Lar will never be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I agree. He's not a good quarterback. I seriously will eat cat poop if he's ever just. Well, we're not going to hold you to that, Michael. We'll just hold your feet to the fire. By the way, speaking of college quarterbacks, I have to, and I think I've already done this, but I'm going to do it again. I have another mea culpa because I have been very vocal on this show about Ty Simpson and the fact that fifth-year seniors don't get their first chance to play if they're any good at the same school they started with, because if they're any good, they would have gone somewhere else or had a chance to play where they were. Well, I would say I'm wrong, because right now Ty Simpson is playing as well, if not better, than any quarterback in the country. And Alabama's playing very good football. They beat a really good Missouri team on the road yesterday. Your boy didn't play great yesterday. Perbula, again, I'll say his name wrong. Michael, he didn't play great. But Missouri gave them everything they could handle. Good job there. Still unsure how good Alabama is, especially with the team they lost to in free fall at the moment. 3 straight losses for Florida State. Pittsburgh, not a horrible team, and going there playing on the road, tough assignment for I think a team that, again, much better than last year. But what are you going to do? Good morning to Bill Pulver. He says the Jets go to 3-2 overseas. Well, I picked them to lose by 100 on the Big Football Show, so I probably won't win that bet, but I'm confident the Broncos win this game. And I did say with them playing over in England in a soccer stadium, they may be relegated out of the NFL this year to a lower league. That's a joke. Anthony is an Oregon fan. I forgot about that. Along with Boston Paul or Wisconsin Paul or whatever Paul is calling himself today. He's an Oregon fan. I didn't think we was number 1 on paper. People will say Ohio State, but watching the game, listen, I'm a Miami fan. To me, it doesn't matter if I'm 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5 at this point, right? It doesn't matter. It will matter who the top 4 teams are for the playoff committee, because those teams will get buys. I'm not going to say Ohio State isn't better than Miami. There's no way to really define that. I think Miami's probably got some better wins than, say, Ohio State, although they did play a decent Illinois team. Listen, you see how good Indiana and Ohio State is, because Illinois is not terrible. They just beat USC at home last week, and USC just dismantled Michigan yesterday. Ohio State's probably got the best defense, although Miami's close. And I'm not saying Oregon's not good. They ran into a juggernaut yesterday. Indiana's better than they were last year when they were sneaking up on people. They're absolutely better at the quarterback position. Mendoza was really good. The defense played well. Moore had a tough day yesterday. Probably will slip in the Heisman rankings. Good stuff. I picked Oregon to win that conference. And I picked Oregon, Ohio State, and Nebraska. Let's see. Nebraska might have a shot to move into the top 25 this week. How far away were they last week? Hold on. Nebraska had 60 votes. Florida State will drop out. Iowa State will drop out. Vanderbilt will probably drop out. Well, Vanderbilt might hang in there. So let's just say, for whatever reason, we'll say Memphis won't drop out. So South Florida will move up. They won again. Probably in a driver's seat again for the group of five. I don't know. I mean, there's 5 teams alive for the group of 5 selections. You got South Florida. North Texas is now out, probably. You've got UNLV, who won another close game yesterday. You've got Memphis. You got Tulane, who won the other night against East Carolina. Memphis is undefeated. And you got Navy. Tar Heel Jordan is definitely a cancel, even if we probably should stop calling her just Jordan. We're going to think we're talking about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan. Well, she might be a cancer. Yeah. She might be. So Cincinnati's likely to jump into the top 25. Texas will probably get back in. It will definitely get back in. So probably Nebraska will not, because Utah is still ahead of them. Those 3 teams I mentioned, Utah, Texas, and Cincinnati, are all ranked ahead of them, even though they're out of the top 25. So Nebraska probably will still be on the outside looking in, but watch out. DeMarcado definitely needed. Okay, that's the running back, right? Needed old school coaching. I'm not wrong. Meaning, not me. He's talking about me. I coached and would not have ever shied away from an opportunity to coach. I believe other coaches would agree. Unfortunately, in today's society, though, we're not allowed to yell at kids. We can't hurt their feelings. And it goes from Pop Warner to the NFL or whatever sport we're talking about. You can't yell at a kid, much less frickin' put your hands on, because if you make them cry, you're going to be in trouble. Soft. Check out JB's Backup Binge podcast. JB does some great stuff over there. Prebula did not show up yesterday for sure. If he had done so, they win. Well, ifs are huge in sports, right? I'll absolutely admit that, but he's still better than Drew Lar. Well, I will not argue that point. I mean, I've talked about for 3 weeks now that Lar, Klubnik, Sellers, huge disappointments as far as quarterbacks go. My guy Vanderbilt was not good last week. He plays well last week. Vanderbilt beats Alabama. In a lot of cases, you go as well as your quarterback plays. Alabama's defense played pretty well yesterday, I thought. As did Indiana's, by the way. Indiana gave up barely, I don't know what it was. Hardly any rushing yards. And that's, by the way, Oklahoma's biggest problem. Talk about Oklahoma, Texas. Texas ran the ball a lot better. Arch was efficient, accurate, didn't turn the ball over. They ran the ball better. And once again, Oklahoma can't run the ball. And I'm going to tell you right now, as I told Alan, I hope you're out there and I hope you're doing well, by the way. I think they rushed John Mateer back. They wouldn't have won the game without Mateer anyway. Not yesterday. Texas is still a talented football team. Got a good defense. Not out of the conversation. Penn State played themselves out. Texas played their way back into the conversation yesterday. And Oklahoma opened up a bunch of questions about themselves. I'm saying it as a joke mostly, Michael, but because he's telling me in the world that will be the thing in college football. It will definitely be a reality someday. I don't know that I disagree. I think it's hard because there are brands that I just don't think you're ever going to relegate, right? No matter how bad they are. Because the TV contracts aren't going to allow for it. I mean, no matter how bad Notre Dame is, and Notre Dame through the years have had some really bad seasons, they're never going to get relegated. Alabama's never going to get relegated. Oklahoma's never going to get relegated. Ohio State, Michigan's never going to get relegated, no matter how bad they are. Unless they're bad for, decades. TV contracts are going to not allow for that. Right? But I don't think you're wrong. Some form of that could come into play. Quack got whacked at Loonland. Great game day crowd yesterday, by the way, at 6 a.m. And probably much, much, much earlier than that last week or yesterday in Eugene. That's a great atmosphere for football up there. Everywhere. Almost everywhere in college. It's a great atmosphere. I mean, and days like yesterday is why I still like college as a sport, as a viewing experience better than the NFL. I mean, if Ohio State and Michigan was playing and, the Bills and Chiefs were playing a meaningless game, I'd be watching the college game. Patriots I won't miss. Is McDaniel dusted at 5 or 6 losses? I think he's going to have to go. I mean, Jesus, his press conferences are getting worse and worse. The rambling. Did you hear him this week talking about how they're going to straighten this mess out? I didn't understand a word he said. Danny and I have talked and disagreed somewhat on. And again, I'm not saying you shouldn't fire coaches in the middle of the season. Sometimes you have to, just because they've lost total control of the operation. And I think that might be the case with McDaniel. But I say you don't fire coaches if you think it's going to turn your season around. It's not going to work. So again, you're not going to come up with a lot of instances. You could probably come up with a couple, but you're not going to come up with many where coaches in any sport have really made a difference. Bob Lemon did in 78 with the Yankees. Jack McKeon did in 2003 with the Marlins. Steve Fisher did with the Michigan Wolverines in basketball in the 90s. I'm trying to think of a pro football team that fired their coach and actually it made a difference and they made the playoffs. I can't think of one. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. The Patriots. Ray Barry took over. USC in the top 25. Michigan will be out. I'm not sure. Michael, let me just take a look where they are. They might be. That's a big drop, though. They're at 15. To drop 10 spots on a road loss. Now, they didn't look good. That USC defense is really good. Especially on home. They're really good. That's a pretty deep drop. And USC was... Oh, USC had fallen out, too. They might get back in the top 25. Going to be interesting this week to poll because Cincinnati played great football. Another great win yesterday. Big win against UCF. Not a great win, but a big win. But Michigan was not playing good football yesterday. But again, we tend to say, and I think we talked about this last week, we tend to talk about, this team played horrible, that team played horrible, and we don't give enough credit to the team that made them or contributed to them playing badly. Bryce Underwood was not very good yesterday. Part of that was the USC defense. And Brian Arts talked about this morning that, and he's a Michigan fan as well, as you know, Michael, that maybe they should have taken the reins off of Underwood earlier so that, when he was playing some lesser competition, he would have been a little bit more advanced and wouldn't have a game like this. He's a kid. He's going to have games like this, right? I mean, let me ask you this. And I don't have the stats right in front of me. If somebody wants to look it up, that's fine. So we talk about Bryce Underwood like he's the next coming, and he's going to be a great player. But are his numbers really any better than Arch Manning's? I'm going to guess no. Maybe running the football, he's got an advantage there. But as far as the rest of his game, I mean, Arch has been around longer, obviously. He's not a freshman. But he hasn't played football. He only threw, less than 100 passes in his career before this. Young quarterbacks take time to get consistent. One of the international games blessing is we get Kurt Warner commentary. I never have it on. I only have I obviously don't have the sound, and I don't know that I've heard a whole lot of Kurt Warner doing games, quite frankly, CA. So I don't have an opinion on Kurt Warner, and he can't be any worse than the guys I have to listen to all the time. He can't be worse than Romo. I've started I love Troy Aikman. I've started a waiver on Troy Aikman. Brady's still not very good. So good news for Jet fans. We're a minute into the game, and they're still tied. So good news for you Jet fans. Oh, my God, yes. That kid was wearing shit kickers, as we would have called them when I was a kid. They weren't even tied. And the second attempt, McAfee went up to $1 million, and half of that was Saban's money, which I guarantee he probably wasn't putting up. But I think he did that because he knew there was no chance this kid was ever going to make it. But what a horrible, horrible effort. I agree so much. For whatever reason, CA's become a Jet fan today. And again, it's we're almost 2 minutes into the game, and they're still tied. Good job. McDaniel needs to be mercifully relieved of his ineptitude. I don't think we can relieve him of his ineptitude. But we can relieve him of his job because he is in over his head. Great point. Deeper than a West Virginia coal miner. Michael comes up with some good one-liners. Let's not forget about baseball too, guys. If you're a baseball fan, and again, I stayed up till 1:30. I'm old, and I was fighting sleep. Friday night. But that was, to me, classic playoff baseball. 2-2, 16 innings. You had a lot of pressure-packed situations through those extra inning games or innings. We don't need men on second base. We don't need home run derbies to decide football games. Sorry, my shirt's all out of whack here. It's a little better, I guess. I can't fix it. Just exciting. And I start thinking about what are the Yankees going to do. Yankees have a lot of work to do, man. A lot of work. Underwood's numbers are not near Manning's passing or running. Thank you. I thought his rushing numbers might be better. I'm not bashing him either. All I'm trying to do is compare young quarterbacks. That's all. They'll both be very, very good college quarterbacks. I don't know what they'll do at the next level. Nobody knows. Don't care. And there's a lot of pressure on these guys, right? I mean, Underwood's got a lot of pressure because of, $10 million. He gets to go from LSU, decommit from LSU and go to Michigan. But there's nobody in the country with more pressure on them than Arch Manning before this season, just because of who he is. It's really tough for, these guys. Again, they're getting a lot of money. I get it. Nobody feels sorry for them. Whatever. They're still kids. We forget they're still kids. Michael's not blasting him. Not at all. I always support Michigan defend players to the hilt, but Brian Art was right. The coaching staff has done 19 no favors. Underwood will be fine, as will Manning. In college, I have no illusions right now until I see a guy. I mean, and we tend to do this, right? If these guys move on and they're great players, let's take Cam Ward, for instance. Tim Tebow is a great example in the past. We tend to dismiss their college career because they didn't do anything at the next level. Cam Ward obviously has time to get there. I've had doubts about Cam Ward's ability to be a star at the next level when he was in college, but it doesn't diminish what he did in college. You're two totally different things, right? So let's worry about their college careers first, which you are talking about, Michael. I know that. Then we'll worry about their pro careers. This is going to be a bad draft for quarterbacks. A bad draft. Paul Spada's playing with his yo-yo. It's not a good loss. You can't spin this as there's no moral victories in football, right? Or sports, in my mind. Not once you get to a professional level, which a college football is now. But I can't spin this Oregon loss any way other than this is a bad loss. Because you did play a good football team. There's no shame in that loss. But Indiana outplayed you every aspect of the game every aspect of the game in my mind. Maybe you can pick one thing, Paul. I can't, or Anthony. And I'm not bashing Oregon because I picked them to win the Big Ten. But that you have to win that game at home. If you want to be considered and you want to get one of those top 4 spots and win the Big Ten, you got to win these games at home. Because now there's no guarantee this team is going to end up. I mean, this loss. Let's see what they got left. And I haven't heard you say a word about the game, actually, Michael. Or, Paul. So who's undefeated still in the Big Ten? Only Ohio State and Indiana. And it's quite possible they stay there. And you've got, how many teams you got one loss? You're so bunched up. USC, Oregon, Michigan, Northwestern, forget about them. Nebraska, Washington, I don't think will be there. Iowa won't be there. Minnesota won't be there. UCLA, by the way, 2 in a row, Danny. Congratulations. 2 in a row for your UCLA Bruins yesterday. Who'd they beat? Did not write down who they beat. It's not coming to me. I think that, it's possible Ohio State beats Michigan. They'll probably be in the championship game, right? But Indiana doesn't get Michigan, doesn't get Ohio State. They have Michigan State. They have UCLA. They're at Maryland, who just lost Nebraska at home. They're at Penn State. That's their toughest game, and maybe Penn State's, national championship game. They got Wisconsin, a horrible Wisconsin team. Luke Fickell's in big trouble. He got hammered by Iowa yesterday. And Purdue. I mean, there's no way they have more than one loss. What's Ohio State got left? Probably tougher road. Listen, I'm not telling you that Penn State can't beat Indiana. But they don't. James Franklin doesn't beat these games. Now he doesn't beat anybody. Ohio State's got UCLA, Maryland, at Penn State. I'm saying Ohio State. Did I say that? I don't know if I said that. Hold on. That's Indiana again. Thought that. I was wondering how they could play the exact same schedule. Ohio State. They're at Wisconsin. That's a win. They got Penn State at home. That's a win. Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, Michigan. At worst, they got one loss. It's going to be very interesting. I don't know what the tiebreakers are going to be in the Big Ten or the SEC or the Big 12, but it's going to get very interesting as we get closer and closer to that conference championship games first week in December or whatever it is. Past 3 days of MLB have been special and a true example of the beauty of sport. Again, I've always been a baseball guy first. That was my sport. I played it for a long time in my life. High school, college, a little bit of semi-pro. And I don't say that saying I was a great player because, we're just up here in upstate, central, western New York. We were an independent team and we'd go play doubleheaders against these semi-pro teams all over the upstate and central New York, basically. And I played for a long time. It's still my sport, but it's been hard to stay as huge a baseball fan because of what they've done to my game. But when I get to see a game like I saw Friday night, restores my faith. Great starting pitching. They could have gone deeper in the game if I want to nitpick. The bullpens were absolutely awesome. We had guys pitching out of jams. We had great defensive plays. We had a lot of good stuff in that game. And if you're a baseball fan and you didn't enjoy that thriller for 15 innings till 1:30 in the morning, you really need to go watch something else. That's all I can say. Football, baseball, hockey, darts. It is the season. NBA will start soon, too. Now, Paul, you must have something more to say about your team's game yesterday than go Oregon football. Who's Oregon got left? Can Oregon get to the... I mean, look, if they don't lose any more games and they don't make it to the conference championship game, they're still going to make the playoff, right? See who they got left. Rutgers win, Wisconsin win, Iowa's a win, Minnesota's a win, US. They got the easiest schedule of anybody. Boy, now that I look at it, this is the easiest schedule in the Big Ten. Indiana and Penn State with their own, and Penn State's not ranked, by the way. At the time they were. So it's hard to believe, right? They were ranked third in the country 2 weeks ago. Now they won't even be in the top 40. But you got Rutgers, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, USC. That might be a tough game now that I look at it. They got them at home, though. You should have won that game. And Washington, which, again, that's easier road than Indiana or Ohio State in my mind. Notre Dame did win big yesterday, by the way, 27-3 maybe, something like that, over North Carolina State. I did, and I have, and I will continue to say if Notre Dame runs a table, just because of what we see every week, they'll make the playoff. Chris Fgrave from the CFL. The Jets are in danger of being relegated. By the way, the Jets lead 3-0 in this game, and they've got the. No, they don't have the football. What are the Broncos wearing? I guess it's just it's just the color on the NFL Network here. They're leading 3-0. The Broncos have got the football. But Joe Flacco getting the job done with his Bengals. He just got there, Chris. I don't know. Is he starting today? I don't even know. Guessing he is. Good to have you with us today, Chris, though. And the Jets are about to be relegated to the Toronto Argonaut division of the CFL. So you'll get to see them play. Who's JG? I don't see a JG here. Who's JG? Archie Griffin, one of the best. I'm on record, Michael, and I probably said this before you became a very loyal follower of the show. I think Archie Griffin is the greatest college football player of all time. Top 5 at least, for sure. I've always ranked him number 1. But he's a great example. And he didn't, he had a 1,000-yard season in the NFL. I think when they were playing 14 games as well. But not long-term success for sure. But he's a good example. And by the way, it doesn't diminish what he did on the college level. As I said, one of the top 5, and in my mind, the best college football player of all time. John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities. Check out John's website. Most of you guys, I think, have already become followers there. Join that group. It is a great group. John's one of the best admins, the best admin out there for sure. And we appreciate John. And John also comes and participates on this show almost weekly. We love it. Ohio State's still the team to beat, but Miami, Indiana, Ole Miss has got a little to prove yet for me. They're going to move up to 3 this week. But Texas Tech is lurking there. They spent $55 million, as we know, on this team. Who's Ole Miss got left here? Ole Miss is at Georgia next week. Big match. That's a big game for both these teams, by the way. They're at Oklahoma. Boy, this might be one of the tougher schedules in the country left, quite frankly. They're at Georgia. They're at Oklahoma. They've got South Carolina at home, and South Carolina can bite up and beat you at any time. One of the bigger disappointments in college football this year, South Carolina Gamecocks. The Citadel, they'll win. They get Florida at home, who's got revenge on their mind. Oh, no, they don't. Sorry, Mississippi's got revenge on their mind there. Florida might very well have knocked them out of the college football playoff last year. And then they've got the Egg Bowl against a very improved Mississippi State team on the road to finish out November. Tough one. Yeah, but I wouldn't put Ryan Leaf on the level of the guys that we've mentioned. Ryan Leaf was a really good college football player. Not on the level of Tim Tebow, not on the level of Archie Griffin. But huge failure in the NFL, 100%. High draft pick. But I wouldn't put his college career, and I wouldn't put Bosworth in that group either. But, he was certainly he was a great college player. Bosworth's not in my top 10. Ryan Lee's probably not in my top 25 or 30. Maybe not even that good. Top 50. But he was a number 2 pick. Indiana's great, by the way. Indiana's better. Last year they snuck up on people. This year they're not sneaking up on anybody, and they're beating everybody. They're beating the snot out of most teams. Their defense was stifling yesterday. I mean, 7 of your points came on a pick 6. And Indiana has improved drastically at the one position that matters most, and that's quarterback. Mendoza's really, really good. What actually makes a moral victory? Moral victories are for the weak. Yeah. I mean, look at, and Jack is all over this. He actually came up talking how the Jets could have a moral victory. He didn't say the word moral, though. You could take away positives from a loss, right? But moral victories, no, there's really no such thing. Losses are losses, you know? You can take away positives if you're getting better during your losing, right? Drake May has gotten better through a year plus of Patriot losses. But again, I want to win. All I care about is winning. I do care about Drake May getting better. Not moral victories, though. Dante Moore is out of the Heisman race. I would say that as well. I think John Mateer probably took himself out of the Heisman race yesterday as well. Prbula, Michael Dighton Edwards' boy, I think took himself out of the race yesterday. I think Ty Simpson might be the front runner, right? Well, you've got Ty Simpson. Carson Beck. Who's the other guy I like at my let me check something out here. And this isn't going to probably count for yesterday, though. Let's see. Is this this isn't going to do what I want. I want a Carson Beck, Dante Moore. There we go. Carson Beck overtakes Dante Moore. And this is the betting at, I don't know what site this is. And again, all the sites are going to be different, right? This happens to be DraftKings, who I use, actually. Carson Beck is plus 360. Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson second at plus 400. Mendoza moves into third at plus 600. Jeremiah Smith is plus 1,200 in fourth place. Julian Sayin is now fifth. Dante Moore drops all the way down to sixth, probably done. Marcel Reed is a guy to keep an eye on. Trinidad Chambliss with a big finish by Mississippi with that schedule. If they run that table and Chambliss is playing well, he's going to move up that list and be a finalist. CJ Carr, Joey Aguiar, Gunnar Stockton, and Haynes King finish out the top 12 at DraftKings. So there you have it. Carson Beck in the pole position right now. Bryce Miller starting for the Mariners in Toronto, game 1 of the ALCS. Let me take a look at this, Michael, because I wanted to look at these starters. Thank you for bringing that up. Schedule. So we start, I think, tonight, correct? We're going to have Bryce Miller, very good. By the way, the bullpen exhausted for the Mariners. Big plus for game 1, at least, I think, for the Blue Jays. They've had a day to recover, but we'll see how that goes. It'll be Bryce Miller and Kevin Gausman today. Michael talks about Mariners definitely live in the opener. Should be a fun series. At the end, I think both series will be fun. I like the Dodgers to beat the Brewers, but the Brewers just keep winning. Again, they have not been. They've got the third longest World Series drought behind the Mariners, who have never been there. The Cubs, who aren't going. I'm not the Cubs. Crap. Who was the other team? Yeah, it'll probably come to me. But they have the third longest drought. It's been 1982 was the last time they were there. And we still have no pitching matchups for Los Angeles and Milwaukee for Monday. And no pitching matchups for Monday for the Seattle-Toronto series as well. You're going to get a bullpen game here somewhere, guys, out of the Blue Jays most likely, maybe out of the Brewers. I think they're going to be fun series, though. James Reamer is now a free agent. Impeccably important note. He once refused to wear a rainbow-colored shirt in a warm-up in support of lifestyle community. To me, that's his choice. Right? Do I think that he ought to be chastised for that? No. Don't force players. Everybody's got an opinion. I respect them all. I don't agree with all of them. I know Michael, for an article, and I don't want to get too deep into this, but Michael put up an article, or I put up an article that Michael wrote, because I told Michael, I will put up your articles, and he has full editorial control. I won't agree with all the content. I don't necessarily agree with the content of this week's. Some people I know took exception to it. I don't think Michael, I was reading some of the stuff. I think it was from Danny's share, and we didn't have necessarily negative feedback on TGI Sports Talk, but I don't necessarily agree with it. But everybody's entitled, and it was well written, well put together, and I don't think really took a side on the issue that he talked about. And I let him know that I don't necessarily agree with that on that subject. We don't necessarily agree. Because there's two different things when you come to it. I don't care what people do. I don't care what people's lifestyle is. I don't care what they choose to identify as. I don't care. But as long as it doesn't affect me or mine, don't want my granddaughter playing against males, and it won't be soccer. Believe me, it'll be softball. I'm kidding there. But everybody's entitled to their opinion. And I don't know whether Reamer was beaten up for that. But I also don't think sports teams necessarily should be, just stay out of the political arena in sports, right? Just don't get into it. Stay out of it. UCLA beat MSU. That's yes, Michigan State. Look at 3 wins in a row. Is that 2 wins in a row or 3? That's 3. 2, sorry. Just beat Penn State last week. 2 and 3. You might become bowl eligible. This team could be on the way. Maybe firing a coach will have an effect on this team. Well, you might get to the, I don't know, the Lucky Charms Bowl. Well, there you go. And again, to my point, Danny, and to your point, again, I didn't say you should never fire coaches necessarily. I think there are downsides where, again, and maybe I'm wrong. I know that James knows the interim here. What's his name? Spinner. Tim, is it Spinner? I'm trying to think of the interim's name now. I'll probably have it right here if I look for it. Danny's going to give it to me anyway. And I know James Martin knows him personally, so he's rooting for him. And maybe he'd be the right guy. Problem is, if this team, they started 0-4, right? Let's just say they go 6-6. Your interim's going to be in a decent position to keep this job, and maybe he should. And I'm not saying he shouldn't. But there have been a lot of cases. And I'll tell you, go look at the Antonio Pierce situation in Las Vegas. That's a perfect situation where a guy comes in, everything feels great for a couple of games, and he gets hired and he's the wrong guy. So, again, I'm not totally against firing guys. I guess there's some downside to it. That's one of the things I worry about. And sometimes it has an effect. And if the whole room, if your locker room's just falling apart, which it probably is in Miami, Dolphins, you probably should make a move. What? TV should be the home run series, Toronto, Seattle. Toronto doesn't necessarily hit a lot. Listen, I love it. There's two teams I like would play the way they play ball. But the Brewers yesterday won on 3 solo home runs. That's not their game. They don't hit home runs. Toronto doesn't hit a ton of home runs. Vlad does. Toronto puts the ball in play. Seattle does hit home runs. But I've seen some pretty good baseball out of these 4 teams without the ball necessarily going over the fence. It was ironic that the Brewers won yesterday on 3 solo home runs because that's not their game. Toronto's game is putting the ball in play. That's why they beat the Yankees this year. I mean, again, they don't strike out. When your opponents are striking out 11, 12, 13 times a game and you're striking out 4 or 5 or 6 and you're getting 7 or 8 more outs where you put the ball in play and put pressure on the defense, it makes a difference in a ball game. That's why you play baseball, by the way. Put pressure on the other team. Put the ball in play. Take what they give you. Make the right decision. Situational baseball. Don't just swing for the fences. Yankees got to change Anthony Volpe's whole game, among other guys. His whole approach at the plate is awful. But it's not just him. Indiana will be the conference champion even if they lose to Penn State. Will be in the conference championship, lose to Penn State, which they won't. I don't know what the tiebreakers are, though, Michael. I mean, they'll have a tiebreaker with Oregon. We know that. If they lose only to Penn State in conference, which I agree, they probably won't. It would depend on who they played that also had 1 loss. But right now it looks inevitable that Ohio State and Indiana will be playing in that championship game. A lot of things can happen. This has been a crazy, crazy year. One of these teams might go out and lose 2 games. I mean, who saw Penn State losing 3 in a row? I'm not a big James Franklin fan. I never saw 3 games in a row being lost coming. I could see them losing to Oregon. Couldn't see them losing to UCLA, and then maybe even worse, Northwestern at home. I guess it's not worse than UCLA. Michigan will still beat Ohio State, I believe. It's possible. Well, he's lost 4 in a row, right? Speaking of Ohio State and Day. And if you beat if you beat Ohio State, then you've had a successful season anyway, no? Isn't that really the barometer? We got to look at the I'm afraid to look at the standings from yesterday. Penn State heading to the Popeye Pajama, Bahama Mama Bowl. Had a hard time saying that. Penn State's a joke. I mean, James Franklin's become a joke. And I know, I'm certain Penn State doesn't want to cough up $63 million to get this guy to walk away. I do think that he will quietly be looking into some of other Power 4 openings, of which there's already a few. Virginia Tech, Arkansas, UCLA. Yeah, I'm sure you don't want James Franklin out there, do you? Maybe you do, Danny. I mean, he does win 10 games a year, although he's not this year. Well, he could have been a bowl game. And they'll come to some equitable decision that he won't have to pay his buyout, and he'll go find another job. That's my opinion as we speak today. Barney Fife knew about the lake loons. Especially those red-crested lake loons. That is an awesome reference. When we can get an Andy Griffith show, anytime we get some old school TV on here, I am so happy. Great job there, CA. Yeah, listen, I wasn't a great player. It was fun. It was fun. It was decent baseball, right? I mean, it wasn't as good as any minor league baseball that you see, but we had a lot of fun. And we played against some really good players. I played against guys actually that did play professional baseball, either in high school or in these leagues. Dave LaPointe, David Palmer, are two pitchers that I've faced that pitched in the majors, and I can tell you I did not fare very well against them. Extreme Canadian matchup coming in: Blue Jays versus Mariners. Vancouver. Oh, I see. Vancouver folks. There you go. Good call. Hadn't even thought of that. Vancouver folks pilgrims to Mariners games in their Blue Jay gear. That's interesting. So are you saying there'll be a Blue Jay fan advantage in Safeco? Is it Safeco Field? I'm not even sure what they call their field anymore. James Franklin, head coach of the New York Jets. Well, that would be fitting. You know, it's interesting. I'm not saying the Jets because I don't think the Jets are going to fire Aaron Glenn after 1 year unless there's got to be a slam dunk, right? The Patriots fire Gerard Mayo after 1 year, and only because the guy they wanted was there. And it was through their own fault. Listen, again, they probably didn't treat Gerard Mayo very well. They kind of boxed themselves into it when he had some other opportunities to interview for jobs, coordinator jobs, and head coaching jobs. And they wrote into his contract, if he stayed, he'd be the coach in waiting. Probably a bad idea. But I do think if Mark Vabel had not been available, then Gerard Mayo would still be that coach today. And we wouldn't have just beat Buffalo. But James Franklin is a guy that, I don't know, maybe he'd translate better. I know you're probably being sarcastic, John, but maybe he'd be better. Oh, there's a Bronco touchdown. What's the score? Well, how about putting the score up? Anyway, maybe Franklin will be better off in the NFL. I don't know. Good. He coached well at Vanderbilt where there's no expectations. He goes to Penn State. He's been a good coach, 10-6 Broncos. He's been a good coach if you don't want to beat the elite programs in your conference or win national championships. I would play today if I could. There's an over 50 league here in Clifton Park, and if my joints were in better situation and I could lose another 30 pounds, I might have played. I might have gone up and played it when we moved up here. But it's hard. The joints, even playing golf now just kills my joints. I suffer with rheumatoid arthritis, and there are times where if I don't keep myself moving in the right direction, if I overdo it that way, every joint in my body hurts. And right now I'm having one of those days. But we're holding up. Not looking for sympathy. They ain't easy wins in Oregon's schedule. They aren't. Let me look at them again, Paul. If you lose any of these games, you'll be favored in every one of these games. Am I right or wrong? Give me a game you won't be favored. Maybe at UCLA. Hold on. I just lost my. You had the easiest schedule of the teams I just talked about being alive in the Big Ten. I don't know why. So now you're you want to make these wins look better? You don't need to. All you need to do is go and win. You don't have to make these wins be bigger than what they are. Rutgers stinks. They got to travel across the country to play you. They stink. Wisconsin just got beat by 50 by Iowa, who has no offense. Minnesota, PJ Flesch, good coach. You're not going to lose that game at home. You got USC at home. That's the only tough game you have. Washington's a little bit tougher. You got to go to Washington. But that's easier than the road I just gave you for some of the others. There's no way you should lose those first 4 games I just mentioned. If you lose to USC, who's a good football team, at home, you don't deserve to be in the playoff. You don't deserve to be in the conference championship game, which you won't be. At Washington, Washington's only okay. I mean, you got to go play on the road. I get it. They're 5-1, 2-1 in the Big Ten. But Ohio State went up there and dismantled them. So if you want to be considered an elite football team this year, then you should beat every team on your schedule. If you don't, you are not one of the 10 best teams in the country. You're not one of the 12 best teams in the country. Quite frankly, if you lose to any of these teams, you're not one of the 12 best teams in the country. Maybe with the exception of USC, but you're at home. You're going to be favored in every one of these games. And that's the only game I will say that, they could get pushed in, and they're playing at home. That's the only game I can see as, and again, unless Washington, if Washington continues to play well and run the table, maybe I'll think differently. But Ohio State, your main competitor, well, two of your main competitors, one of the two main competitors in the Big Ten, went up there just a couple of weeks ago and dismantled them. USC got beat by Illinois, who got beat by 100 by Indiana. I like USC. I'm not trying to put them down. I'm just trying to get some sense into Paul's head, that's all. These are all games you need to win if you want to compete for a national championship. Are those your 4 candidates, John? I'm assuming. I won't argue with that. Mendoza has moved way up. I think Beck and the betting odds show it. He's almost. That's quite a gap, I think, from him to Tyson. Well, not really. He's plus 360, right? So that's 3.5 to 1. 3, basically. Hello, Matt. How are you, my friend? Yankees stink. Baseball season's over for us. Kevin Napier will be 58 in December. I must be getting old. I got to be getting close to 58 myself then. Kevin Napier, a really good pitcher in his day, by the way, and he's a guy I've been trying to get on my fantasy not my fantasy team, but I play Stratomatic baseball, the 365 version online, and there's some progressive leagues I play, and I just can't seem to get this guy on my team in the right decades. Notre Dame will be in the playoff. I agree 100%. Probably will every year. What? Not every year. You still got to win games, Michael. Right? I wish my team could pick and choose their schedule every year. See, I don't necessarily agree. Again, I wish my team could pick and choose the schedule every year and not have to run through a conference schedule or gauntlet. Good for you, Irish. I don't know if I agree. because the Irish are going to have trouble putting together a schedule. I mean, they do have a brand, right? So if they go 12-0 against bad competition, they'll be in the playoffs. So I agree with you 100%. But they're not always going to be good enough to beat teams. There's parity, as we know about, right? They're going to have down seasons. This year, they're not. Their only losses are the two teams in the top 5. Close losses to two teams in the top 5. They're going to have trouble scheduling USC in the future. They're going to have trouble scheduling Miami. And they hadn't played Miami in nearly 20 years. The Texas A&Ms of the world, because of the 9-game conference schedules, these teams aren't going to be scheduled. Notre Dame, and they may lose their affiliation with the ACC, so they might lose those games against some of these ACC teams that they play every year. They play 5 games every year against ACC competition. With them going to a 9-game schedule, that won't necessarily continue. And to your point before, once that next that big realignment happens, right? When you have your super conference of 48 teams or whatever, there's not going to be independence. Notre Dame's going to have no choice but to play in whatever league that is and whatever it looks like. They aren't going to be able to stand out there on their own. They're not going to be able to get their $25 million a year from NBC plus keep all the money for whatever bowl game they go to. They're going to have to go to a league and share money just like everybody else. And quite frankly, from a TV standpoint, it might make sense for them to be in a league now because their contract with NBC doesn't look as good as it did before. But I perceive this, and maybe I'm wrong, I perceive this as a knock on Notre Dame, and I don't think they should be knocked. Notre Dame, are not responsible for your league wanting to be the Big 18. There's not. The Big 10 caused their own problems. Just saying. Notre Dame was not out there voting for all this realignment. So if they have an easier path to the playoff than other teams, and by the way, there is no automatic bid ever for Notre Dame. Let's not lose track of that. There are no automatic bids for independent teams. There's only 2, UConn and Notre Dame. But there is no automatic bid for them. So they've always got to be in the top 12 teams. Well, everybody should be anyway, or whatever number we end up in. It's not going to stay 12 forever. We're going to have 16 very shortly. We might have 24. John, thanks, Paul, for his shout out. Mendoza's really good. Really, really good. Archie Griffin, best in college. Tebow, number 2. Now, again, you have to go back in time. And like everybody else, I suffer from a recency bias, right? Because I tend to think more about guys I saw play. And I do, sadly, go back to Archie Griffin. Further than that, Johnny Rodgers, great college football player, Johnny Rodgers. But back in the day, there was tons. Danny Fuller agreeing with me on Archie Griffin. I get a lot of pushback on this, by the way. A lot of people want to put Tebow there or some others. I think Archie's the best. I mean, he's the only one ever to win 2 Heisman trophies. To me, that's enough. But Tebow might be number 2. He's definitely in his top 5. JG is John Gonzalez. There you go. I couldn't find a JG quickly when I was looking through the comments. Thank you. And John deserves all the kudos you can give him, by the way. Good man. Tiger Woods goes under the knife, back surgeries. That's not the first of those he's had. Will Tiger come roaring back on the PGA Tour? No, Tiger's time on the PGA Tour is over. Tiger will come back roaring in, the Champions Tour, if he decides to play there. Tiger, he's got a lifetime exemption to the Masters and whatever, and Tiger could be like Freddie Couples down the road, where he'll give you a couple of really good, a year where he competes into the third round before he fades. Tiger's not winning any more majors. Tiger's next claim to fame likely will be maybe the next Ryder Cup team, maybe captaining that team. Now that Mickelson's taken himself out of the race, which he should have been. I wouldn't make Phil the captain anyway after his. And Phil, remember, when I say this, Phil was my favorite golfer. Palmer was my number one of all time of modern era. Phil was my favorite golfer until he took the blood money and went off to Saudi Arabia to play golf. Or live to play golf. Hello, Michael Gott over in the UK. How are you, my friend? It's getting to be time. We got about 20 minutes left in the show. I haven't done the recap of. Let me do this recap of yesterday, and then I'll give you my picks for today. The yesterday is pretty ugly. I don't know. I don't know how anybody did. Quite frankly, because I've been afraid to look at this freaking thing. How bad is it? Well, somehow Beamer Ball got 6 wins yesterday. So did You Ain't Cheating. So did the J Train. Rick gets 5. Scott Kobe with his best week so far gets 5. I got 5. Shocking. And our current leaders, I'm going to give you my pro picks too here in a second while I'm in here, and I'll come back to your comments in just a second. And we'll wrap up the show with your comments on today's games or baseball or college, whatever you want to talk about. Our leaders still Beamer Ball with 38. J Train's got 37. Rick's got 35. So does Allen with 35. If You Ain't Cheating is at 34. Michael's at 34. Boston Paul's at 33. Tight race there. You come down to myself and Danny with 32. And then the rest of them are trailing badly. Here's my picks in the pool today. I don't know where my bets are going to be, guys. I have no freaking idea. I am going so bad. 3 losers yesterday. Here's my picks. Again, without the spreads. I like Denver in this game over the Jets. Right now it's 10-6. I have Colts over the Cardinals. The Cardinals are just falling apart. And by the way, but such BS. By the way, so Murray's not playing today. They've got a running game. The running backs they have don't know enough to hold on to the ball until they cross goal line. Then we find the coach and not the player. That's brilliant. I like the Chargers over the hapless Miami Dolphins. Possible Mike McDaniel will get fired here. It'd be interesting to hear him explaining his firing. I like the Steelers over the Browns, although I don't like this game at all. I like Carolina to beat the Cowboys. I'll go against the trend there. I think Carolina will play a good football game here, or the Cowboys will play a bad one. I like Jacksonville. Over Seattle. Seattle having to travel across the country. Jacksonville playing pretty good football, 4-1. Are they for real? Rams, I'm not giving I think the Ravens have quit. I don't like the word quit. You know that. But they're not tough. This is a team with a reputation for being tough. They're soft. Their defense is terrible. Number 1 ranked offense coming in there, even though they're traveling across the country. I will take the Rams against the Ravens. Patriots over the Saints. Let's not have a letdown. Jack says they're not good enough to have a letdown. That's just BS. Every team could have a letdown. But I like the Patriots to continue their winning ways here. The Raiders will get it together, I think, against the Titans. Geno Smith close to getting benched by Pete Carroll. Might want to get it going here today. Tampa Bay, I think, will beat the 49ers. Mac Jones, Purdy's still out. Mac Jones banged up. I think the Baker Mayfield and the comeback kids there in Tampa win this game. I'll take Green Bay over the Bengals, even though Joe Flacco is now the new quarterback. I believe he's starting today. I'll take the Chiefs. I'm sorry, Brian. I don't know why. I'm sorry, Michael. I just like the Chiefs over the Lions. Sunday, that's not a Sunday night game. What's that, 4:00? Oh, no, maybe that's a Sunday night game because there's two games on Sunday. Buffalo I like over Atlanta, and Washington to beat the Bears. Even though McLaren's out, could switch that game, but I don't know. That game could get switched. I think right now, though, I like Washington. Let's see if we can wrap up your comments here in the next. Oh, OJ's way ahead of Leaf. Leaf would be down my list. I don't even know. I if I did 50 players, I don't know if I'd put Ryan Leaf in there, quite frankly. Drew Bledsoe, I would put ahead of Ryan Leaf as far as Washington State quarterback. So OJ is a tremendous player, and didn't he play 2 years at community college, correct, Danny? And I know it's got to be hard for you to make that call, Danny. Okay, I stand corrected about Boss and Leaf. There you go. Listen, they were good players. I'm talking about great players. You're right about one thing. They were very good college players who didn't make it at the next level. So you're not 100% wrong there, Paul. Top 10 college player that didn't click in the NFL, Gino Torretta. Come on. He's not one of the top 10 college football players of all time. I'm not laughing at you, Michael, I promise. I'm a big Miami fan. Gino Torretta was a good college quarterback, but he wasn't great. I can name 10 that were better without even thinking about it. Quarterbacks. There might be 10 Miami quarterbacks that are better. Nice college football player. Played on a great team. It's 3 field goals so far in London. Carson Beck is absolutely a front runner, 100%. John, we won't argue with that. We got about 15 minutes left, so Rick Sherlock, you have to love the Navy game, going for 2 at the end to win. I 100% play to win the game, right? If you have momentum, yes, there's that word again. Use it. Good comeback by Miami yesterday. They shouldn't be struggling with the Temple team, this Temple team for sure. But a good win. Wins are wins, and a good comeback win. And I like the fact that they weren't going to let an overtime decide this. Let's forget about this past spring. Mookie Betts bought a team and became the owner of a World Bowling League. I did not know that. I think I knew that Mookie was a good bowler. I think he and Jerome Bettis would be the 2 best sports figures outside of bowling. Wow. Jets offense is pathetic. Are the 2 best sports players are as bowlers. I didn't know he bought a World Bowling League. Where do you find those games, Chris? Oregon will find it tougher going forward. Coaches see the formula and more is lacking in pocket awareness. That's fair. I think you saw the best defense. And yes, good coaches are going to learn from this game specifically. Indiana's got a really, really good defense. Moore struggled yesterday. A lot of quarterbacks struggled yesterday. Seattle versus Milwaukee would be an awesome World Series. I kind of agree. I think the Dodgers will beat Milwaukee, but as a fan, the Mariners never being there, the Milwaukee never having won. Well, yeah, the Brewers have never won. What am I talking about? The Milwaukee Braves won. The Brewers have never won. They haven't been there in 43 years. I think it would be a great series. Plus, I only have one team, the Yankees. But I said outside of the Yankees that the Mariners were the best team in the American League. We'll find out. Blue Jays are playing good baseball, though. And the Dodgers are the Dodgers. It's going to be fun. I like your pick, though, John. And that's going to be my pick. Actually, no. I'm going to take Seattle, LA. I want to see this matchup. I'm going to take LA and Seattle to win the series. Historically, who was to blame? The Dodgers moved to LA? Walter O'Malley. Watching the Brooklyn documentary again, I'm inclined to blame the New York official Moses and not O'Malley, the owner. Yeah, you can blame both of them, I think. Right? O'Malley wanted to get out of Brooklyn no matter what. I mean, he wanted a big, spacious place, and Moses wasn't going to sign off on it. And the city of LA gave him basically the choice of any open land he wanted. And when he saw Chavez Ravine, he fell in love with it. But he also had to talk the Giants into going with him, because Major League Baseball was never going to approve. So in a way, I can blame more Stoneman as well, because the Major League Baseball is never going to approve this move unless another team went with them. Right? Because remember, there was no team, nobody was further west than St. Louis at that point. So it's a great question. It's a great debate question to bring up to Jack Hirsch, I think, for their debate show. Who's most to blame for the Dodgers move to LA? I will still blame O'Malley. If I'm a Dodger fan, I blame O'Malley. I mean, if you're a Dodger fan, well, if you're a Brooklyn Dodger fan, if you're an LA Dodger fan, you probably give credit. You don't give any blame. Right? But as a baseball fan who, knows of those times, didn't live them, heard a lot about them, and know a lot of old Dodger fans who were Brooklyn fans, they all blame Walter O'Malley. But Robert Moses wasn't, he was like, he ruled. He was a very powerful guy, the second powerful guy to the mayor, and maybe more powerful than the mayor in New York at that time, Robert Moses. So it's possible you could give him some of the share of blame. Yes, don't force your opinion on anyone. Please respect other people's opinions. Please, I agree. Again, that's the gist of that. Don't force your opinions on people. This is my biggest problem. And again, I have very strong opinions. I have very strong opinions about what Michael's talking about here. And it's a lot to get into in our last 10 minutes. I'm already looking ahead at the next comment. Very strong opinions on this topic and many others. But I don't force my opinions. They're my opinions. I think the point of the article got missed a little bit. And I had a couple people ask me why I posted it. But again, I've asked Michael. Michael's asked me, and I've asked him to contribute stuff. And I told him I was not going to reject content. So they're Michael's opinions. They're not mine. Right? Any article. We'll agree and we'll disagree. That's what life's about. And I told Michael, when I thought it, when we were talking about it a little bit in the conversation, I don't think I'm betraying any trust here. We were talking about it. I forgot what I was going to say. I absolutely forgot what I was going to say. It'll come to me. I'm not going to, again, I'm going to give him free reign to put up what he wants, unless it's, we're not going to, that wasn't bad. People need to, we have to stop being so reactionary on both sides. At the end of the day, again, I don't want males in women's locker rooms or bathrooms or playing sports against females and whatnot, but that's what it was. We can disagree. We disagree on this show about lots of stuff, including some political stuff sometimes. But we all walk away friends. And those who don't want to remain friends because of whatever reason, they don't come back to the show. Don't blame them. And that's a choice, right? That's a choice. I respect everybody here. Their opinions are theirs. John respects my opinions except for Joe Namath. I'm never going to live down Joe Namath, am I? I was probably too harsh on Joe, and maybe I didn't explain it correctly. I may have been taken a little out of context, but I stand by what I said. He belongs in the Hall of Fame. Hello, Flo. Almost home. Be back no later than early November. Good for you. And thank you again for your service, Flo. I know I respect that, and I know all of our viewers respect it. And I'm proud to be associated with you and your show. And I can't wait till you and Can get back and start doing your thing on a regular basis. And I want to be able to share your content on my show. So make sure that we do that. Okay? Good man, Flo. He's deployed at parts unknown, keeping us safe. Thank you for your service, my friend, and stay safe till you get back here, and stay safe afterwards. I'm sure your family will be excited to have you back. So everybody respects my opinion except for we qualify it. Tim Skipper, thank you very much. I was close. I was right, wasn't I? Do you like him, Danny? Will we keep him? I know we only got about 6 minutes. I'm going to sign off of here at 10:45 or so. But do we like him? Would you keep him as your coach? So, again, that's one of the dangers. 6-6. Do you keep him? Still might be a reach to get to 6-6. But Danny Fuller, next governor of California, I'll vote for that. Might even let you back into the union if you do that. The union being the United States of America. Yanks out, might be rooting for Milwaukee. I'm just going to root for good baseball right now, right? I once my team is out, I don't, unless I make a bet, which I don't bet baseball often. I bet futures in baseball, but I just want to see good baseball. That's what I want to see. Please. Istanbul continued to host its third 3-on-3 basketball tournament. Go Turkey. I don't know who's playing in it. I don't even know. Chris has got, I have to tell you, of the people that I've hired on this show, which are zero, Chris has been done a great job with the job he was given. I love Chris. Great message you left me yesterday too, by the way, Chris. If you don't get voice messages from Chris Hefgrave, you don't know what you're missing. Yanks need a new hitting coach. Too much talent on that team. I don't think there's enough talent. I don't think there's enough talent on that team, quite frankly, Matt. But that's for another day now, probably. Listen, you got to get Bellinger re-signed. He opt out. Goldsmith retired. Goldschmidt retires. Fine. Play Ben Rice at first base every day. Jazz is fine. You got to change Volpe's whole swing. Batting coach comes into play there for sure. Stop swinging for the fences. I don't need you hitting 210 with 20 home runs and 60 RBIs. I'm okay if you hit 75 with 10 home runs and 60 RBIs and play great defense. That's all I care about. Score more runs. Touchdown Broncos. I missed it. Was it 17-6? Hell no. Franklin to UCLA. Absolutely not. Gunsmoke was the best TV show ever. I still watch it. I watch that. I'm a big what's the show I watch now, or the channel I watch now? I don't remember. Not the channel. It's a network where you can watch a lot of old stuff and some new stuff, but I love old school TV. We got to get going here because I'm not going to get through all these. Chris uses radio voice when you see a big hit in hockey. That's all. I want to hear that. Next time you see a big hit, I want you to leave me a message. I want to hear it. Danny, wiffle ball legend. Nice. I love wiffle ball. There's actually a wiffle ball park up here that is kind of almost like a facsimile of Fenway Park. It's really, really cool. When Michael's in a seminary, Gunsmoke kept him sane. I didn't know you could watch TV in a seminary. You're working third shift at a hotel and studying. Gotta go. See you later, Paul. Have a great Sunday yourself. Enjoy the football. Mayo, not the same as David Ross. I agree 100%. Different sports, but the team went after who they wanted. But for Ross, he was a phenomenal. He was a good manager. Yeah, he done better than expected, I think, with those teams. Mayo should have never been hired. No, they should never put in his contract that he was coach in waiting. They backed themselves into a bad position, and a guy was made a head coach before he was ready. I love Gerard Mayo. I love what he did for this team as a player, as a coach, and unfortunately, this didn't work out. Craig Counsell, on the other hand, was negotiating, and they fired Mayo too before they started talking to Vrabel theoretically, but Counsell was campaigning for a job that wasn't open. Senior Bill O'Neill. Yeah, we all have problems, right? Good grief. Good to see you, my friend. Someday we'll play again. 42 and 40-year-old kids keep telling me to try joints to help my joints. No lie. I've heard the same thing. My son-in-law tells me gummies would help my joints. I have not got there yet. Wisconsin is a horrible team. Luke Fickell's going to lose his job after this year. It was a sad reflection on the current landscape of NCAA football. Wisconsin used to be good because they had studs on the O&D line. Very true. Now the NLA doesn't allow true recruiting. Teams like Wisconsin suffer. Red Raiders will move up to number 7. Yes, they will, Flo. The $55 million well spent. Bannerless Quacks will be seeded 7. They won't fall out of the top 10. Texas Tech and Oregon probably will be 7, 8, one way or the other. But incredibly happy. Absolutely. Love Tony Kubek. My favorite baseball announcer ever, Tony Kubek. You're confident. You can't like SC. I don't necessarily like SC. I just, they play good football. Schedule's made out 4 years out, and Notre Dame has a tough schedule for years. Yeah, but a lot of those things can get canceled. We just saw the schedule for Miami, South Carolina, home and home canceled. We saw it with somebody else earlier in the year, so things could change. And Notre Dame's always going to. They're a brand. They're going to give them an advantage. Paul's still here. Not a knock on Notre Dame. Kudos to them for playing the advantage. And whilst not Notre Dame fan, 1,000% or 10,000 or 100,000% Freeman fan. I got to get through this, guys. It's not even a top 12 teams that make the playoffs. This is true. Good point. Was the class of 83 the best quarterback club ever to go to the NFL? I would say 100% yes. I think there's little debate to be had there. Good morning, David Gayette. We're on our way out, but good morning. Toronto versus Milwaukee series final for you. Tigers the second best all time. Can't move up, so call it quits. 100% second best. Jack Nicklaus will always be the GOAT. Colts, best pick of the day. I love the Colts. Allow a simple pause from sports before we are done this morning. Wanted to send our host Keith all the love for he does for the community, for this community. Well, I just show up. You guys deserve the kudos, but I thank you so much. And just saying your day yesterday is beyond something I hope you treasure, and beyond anything this crazy world of sports can offer, even though you picked the Chiefs. I spent the day with my granddaughter yesterday. We took her to the aquarium, and she bought me dinner. Well, sort of. We had a blast yesterday. A lot of fun. Gave my stepdaughter and son-in-law a break because they have a 2-week-old at home as well. And rest in peace, Diane Keaton, a good one. I got to go, guys. You can laugh at me anytime, Keith, but Toretto was great for one season. He was he had a great season. Yeah. Go Navy. Several 300 games, no Chris Fgrave. That's true. Charger running back core is beat up. Next man up. Seattle versus Milwaukee. Pilots versus that's a good one. Pilots versus the Braves. Old school. No blame Michael Gott. Best thing ever happened to growth. Guys, I'm not going to get through the rest of this. I'm just not going to make it. I promise. I got to get going. Speaking of Chubby's Marines, the sad people got booted out of their homes. True. Listening while driving, per Paul. Opinions are like, yes, they are. 100%. Thank you, Brian. I read Michael Delton's article 3 times and broke it down and had no problem posting it. Great writing. Without a doubt. Great writing. And that's my point right there. Great writing. And we'll dive more into this if we have to. I don't care about the people that have a problem with it. Whether I agree with the content is not important to me. Well thought out, well written, and, it is what it is. Wish people read the article and just answer the simple question posed. I think that's the problem, Michael. It's hard to get past an agenda when you're reading an article like that. And I think your article alone points out a critical flaw in all of our thinking. Go Flo, thank you indeed. My granddaughter played against a transgender boy from volleyball. Seeing it live was another experience. Reading about it from a distance is one thing, and experiencing it on the court is something else. 100%. See, outside of sports, I don't care what somebody does. Do what you want. If I agree with it or not is not important. But, made my pact with Bo to support the Raiders, the Mariners. Me too. I'll support them. I'm not going to necessarily root. I want to see good baseball. Chris Samankin for Cambridge with the voice. Pluto is the one I was trying to think of. Michael, thank you. Take care, everybody. Flo says you're not the only one. We're not the only one paying players. You don't mention that with all these other teams. I understand that. That's a fair comment, Flo. I only mention it because of the $55 million. Listen, Miami's got one of the biggest NIL consortiums of all. So I apologize. I'm not just picking on your Texas Tech team. I'm just saying $55 million well spent. Thank you for getting our day started. You're welcome. Where are we? Oh, somehow I got on Jack and Keith. Did I have that up the whole time? Thank you for getting your day started. Much appreciated. Problem. Peace and love. All right, guys, got to go. Have a great one. We'll see you tomorrow morning with Jack and Jack and Peace Weekend Playbook. Bye-bye.